She dreamed of the North. He dreamed of her. The first time Nathaniel Whitmore saw Sarah walking through the cotton fields of the Whitmore plantation, something in his chest broke. He was 17, having just returned from seminary in Charleston with a leather-bound Bible in his hands and vows of faith on his lips. She was 16, with skin like ebony polished by the Georgia sun and eyes that seemed to hold dreams bigger than those endless lands. It was 1857. The world was about to go up in flames. Nathaniel watched from the veranda of the big house as his father, Colonel Thomas Whitmore, shouted orders to the overseers. The whip cracked in the warm morning air. Sarah carried a cotton basket larger than her own body, but she kept her head held high, always held high. "That one over there is too arrogant," her father grumbled, spitting out tobacco. "She needs to be tamed." Nathaniel pressed the Bible against his chest. The words the pastor had taught him echoed in his mind. "There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus." But here, in this land, those words seemed dangerous, forbidden. 3 nights later, he found her alone in the magnolia grove. Sarah was kneeling by the stream, washing blood from her hands. Nathaniel froze among the trees. She looked up, her eyes gleaming like embers in the darkness. "Are you going to hand me over?" she asked, her voice firm despite her fear. "What happened?" "The foreman. He tried to touch me." She didn't look away. "I cut him with the potato peeler knife. Not deeply, but enough." Nathaniel should have run back to the big house. He should have called his father. He should have fulfilled his role as the plantation owner's son. But instead, he knelt beside her. "I won't tell," she whispered. "I swear before God." Sarah studied his face for a long moment. "Why would a white man swear to God to protect someone like me?" "Because Christ died for all of us. For before him, there is no difference between us." She let out a bitter laugh. "Your father thinks differently." "My father is wrong." Those 4 words changed everything. In the following months, they began to meet in secret. Always in the magnolia grove, always after curfew. Nathaniel brought forbidden books and taught Sarah to read, using pages from the Bible by the light of stolen candles. She devoured each word as if it were water in the desert. "One day I'll go north," Sarah confessed one night, tracing the letters with calloused fingers. "I've heard that people like me are free there. I've heard there's a secret railway that leads to a place where I can be more than property." "The Underground Railroad," Nathaniel murmured. "I've read about it. It's dangerous, Sarah. If they catch you, I'd rather die free than live in chains." He held her hand. It was the first time they had deliberately touched. Her skin was warm, alive, human as his. "Then I'll help you." "Why? What do you gain from it?" Nathaniel swallowed hard. The truth burned in his throat like sacred fire. Because I can't imagine this world without you in it. Because when I pray, it's your face I see. Because this may be a sin in the eyes of men, but not in the eyes of God." Sarah pulled her hand away, as if it had been burned. "You don't know what you're saying. White men don't love black women. They use them. They destroy them. I am not like them. It doesn't matter what you are." Tears glistened in her eyes. "Your love is a death sentence for me and for you." But it was too late. The heart does not obey reason, and some loves are born precisely to defy the entire world. What none of them knew was that someone was watching them from the shadows of the magnolias. Someone who would take that secret directly to Colonel Whitmore. And when the sun rose over the Whitmore plantation, blood would be spilled. The whip tore at Sarah's back for the 10th time. She didn't scream. She refused to give them that satisfaction. Nathaniel watched from the porch of the big house, his hands clenched into fists so tight that his nails cut into his palms. His father stood beside him, arms crossed, satisfied. "Let this be a lesson, son," the colonel said, lighting a cigar. Sentimentality has no place in this land. It's property. You've forgotten that. It was Ezekiel, the colonel's trusted black foreman, who had betrayed them. He witnessed their nightly meetings, heard their whispered words, and understood that this secret was worth more than gold. The colonel rewarded him with a new coat and a better cabin. But the real punishment was yet to come. "She will be sold tomorrow," the colonel announced, puffing smoke, "to a plantation in Alabama. I heard the owner there is particularly strict with young, pretty slave girls." Nathaniel's blood froze. "Dad, no, please, don't beg me. You brought this upon her. Your weakness cost her her freedom." The colonel turned, his eyes hard as stone. "And if I catch you near her again, she'll pay with her life." That night, Nathaniel couldn't sleep. He knelt on the cold floor of his room, the Bible open to Proverbs 31. "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute." God was testing his faith, or he was giving him a mission. He knew what he needed to do. At 3 in the morning, Nathaniel silently descended to the slaves' quarters. Sarah was chained in a secluded corner, a warning to the others. Her body trembled, but her eyes remained defiant. "I came to get you out of here," Nathaniel whispered, working on the chains with a stolen key. "You're crazy," Sarah hissed. "They're going to kill you." "Then I will die doing the right thing." The chains snapped shut with a metallic click. Sarah rubbed her bleeding wrists. "Where are we going?" "To the north, to freedom." "Nathaniel?" She cupped his face in her calloused hands. "You're giving up everything, your family, your inheritance, your future." "My future is you," he replied simply. "God showed me that." They fled under the blanket of stars, following the stream that snaked beyond the plantation. Nathaniel had studied maps, memorized routes. There was a safe house 20 miles away, Quaker abolitionists who sheltered fugitives. But freedom is never easily won. At dawn, the bells rang. Dogs barked. Colonel Whitmore mounted his black horse and gathered 20 armed men. "My own son!" he roared, his voice thick with betrayal and fury. "My own blood chose a slave over his family. Bring them back, alive. I want to look him in the eyes when I hang that black woman before him." Nathaniel and Sarah ran through the swamps, the mud sucking at their boots, the dogs getting closer and closer. Sarah stumbled, exhausted from the beating and the escape. Nathaniel caught her in his arms. "Leave me alone," she pleaded. "You can still come back. Say I forced you, that I used black magic. They'll believe you." "I'd rather die with you than live without you." They came to a fork in the river. To the left, the strong current could carry them downstream, faster but more deadly. To the right, the longer, safer path, but where the dogs would catch them. "We need to trust in God," Nathaniel said, gazing at the wild water. Sarah nodded. Then we jumped together. They plunged into the current. The icy water swallowed them, the world turning into bubbles and darkness. Nathaniel held Sarah tightly, refusing to let go even as his lungs screamed for air. When they surfaced, they were almost half a mile downstream. The barking of the dogs faded into the distance, but they knew this was only the first battle of a war that had only just begun. The Quaker's house was hidden among ancient oak trees, so discreet that it could easily go unnoticed. A blue lantern hung in the window, the secret signal. Ezra Thompson opened the door before Nathaniel could knock. He was a man in his 60s with white hair and kind but watchful eyes. "Get inside quickly. Bounty hunters are everywhere." The interior was simple but welcoming. Ezra's wife, Ruth, already had hot water and clean clothes ready. Sarah could barely stand. The infection from her wound was beginning. "I need to see your back, daughter," Ruth said softly. When Sarah removed her torn shirt, Nathaniel had to turn around. The whip marks had turned into something horrible. Swollen flesh, pus, fever. "This is serious," Ruth murmured. "She needs a doctor." Doctors ask questions, Ezra said, and questions mean discovery. Nathaniel knelt beside Sarah, who was trembling violently. God, please, he prayed aloud, don't take her from me now, not after everything. Ruth prepared herbal poultices. Ezra brought whiskey for the pain. For 3 days, Sarah teetered between life and death, delirious with fever, weeping for a mother who had been sold when she was 6 years old. Nathaniel never left her side. He would wet her forehead with cold cloths, hold her hand, and read passages from the Bible in a low voice. "Why do you love someone like me?" she asked in a moment of lucidity. "You could have any white woman from the South, beautiful, educated, rich. Because God didn't create some to be loved and others to be used. He created us all in His image." Nathaniel kissed his fingers gently. "And when I look at you, I see the face of Christ, the strength, the resilience, the unwavering faith." On the 4th day, the fever broke. Sarah awoke, weak but alive. "I thought I was going to die," she whispered. "God still has plans for you," Ruth smiled, "and it seems those plans include this stubborn young man." Ezra entered with maps and papers. "Listen carefully. The route to Pennsylvania is more dangerous than ever. The fugitive slave law means that even in the free states, you are not safe. Bounty hunters can capture her and take her back. And you, young man, will be arrested for property theft." "I am not property," Sarah said, her voice still weak but firm. "As far as the law is concerned, you are," Ezra said sadly. "Until you cross the border into Canada, you won't truly be free." Nathaniel studied the map, more than 500 miles through hostile territory, rivers to cross, mountains to climb, and at every step, the risk of being captured. "There's something else I need to say," Ezra continued hesitantly. "Your father put a bounty on your head, $1,000, dead or alive." Sarah paled. $1,000 is more than most people earn in 5 years. "Half the state will be hunting you down," Ruth said softly. "Then we'll continue at night," Nathaniel decided. "We'll travel along the less traveled roads. We'll trust the safe houses." "And we will trust in God," Sarah added, squeezing his hand. That night, before they left, Ezra performed a small service. It wasn't legal. He wasn't recognized by any earthly authority. But before God and the witnesses present, Nathaniel and Sarah exchanged vows. "I take him as my husband," Sarah said, tears streaming down her face. "In wealth and in poverty, in freedom and in prison, until death do us part." "I take you as my wife," Nathaniel replied, his voice breaking, "and I promise you will see freedom. I promise our children will be born free. I promise to fight for you until my last breath." Ruth tied her hands together with a white cord. "What God has joined together, let no man separate, even if the whole world opposes us." They set off at dawn, following the North Star. Behind them, the dogs began to bark again. Ahead, an uncertain future, but they were no longer alone. They had each other, and they had faith. Sometimes, that's all we need to change the world. Silas Crane was a man who understood that morality was negotiable when the price was right. As Georgia's most famous fugitive slave hunter, he had returned over 200 properties to their owners. The $1,000 reward for Colonel Whitmore's son and his slave was simply irresistible. He was studying the map in a seedy tavern in Chattanooga. His informant, a free black man named Moses, sat across the table, nervously counting silver coins. "I saw them in an abandoned barn 10 miles south," Moses said quietly. "The woman is still weak. He carries her most of the way." "Good information." Silas pushed more coins onto the table. "There is salvation for your soul if you continue helping honest white men." Moses took the money without answering. Nathaniel would never know that the man he had helped 2 nights before, whom he had fed, for whom he had prayed, would sell them for 30 pieces of silver. Meanwhile, Nathaniel and Sarah were hiding in a barn exactly where Moses had indicated. Sarah was improving, but she still couldn't walk long distances. They had covered 120 miles in 2 weeks. Impressive, but not fast enough. "You should leave me behind," Sarah said for the 100th time. "And you should stop saying that," Nathaniel replied, feeding her the stale bread and cheese they had saved. "Nathaniel, be sensible. I'm delaying you. You could cross the border in a week if you were alone. And I would be miserable for every day of the rest of my life." He held her face. "Sarah, don't you understand yet? I don't want freedom without you. I don't want anything without you. This is not faith. It's stubbornness. Perhaps faith is simply sanctified stubbornness." They laughed together for the first time in weeks, but the laughter was interrupted by a sound that froze their blood. Dogs. "No," Sarah whispered. "It can't be." Nathaniel peered through a crack in the barn wall. 5 men on horseback. Silas Crane in the lead, grinning like a hungry wolf. "Nathaniel Whitmore," Silas shouted. "I know you're in there. Come out with your hands up and maybe I'll let you live." "He's lying," Sarah said, holding a pitchfork as a weapon. "Men like him have no honor." Nathaniel loaded the old pistol Ezra had given him. He only had 3 bullets. "The back door. There's a creek 50 yards from there. If you run, I'm not going to leave you." "Sarah, please." She kissed him, hard, desperately, as if it were the last time. Together or not. They went out the back door, running towards the trees. The dogs saw them immediately. Silas and his men followed, rifles in hand. A bullet struck a tree inches from Nathaniel's head. Another whizzed past Sarah's shoulder. They reached the creek, the water slowing them but masking their scent from the dogs. "There!" one of the hunters pointed. Nathaniel turned and fired. The bullet struck the man in the shoulder, knocking him off his horse. The others recoiled momentarily, shocked that the rancher's son would actually shoot at them. 2 bullets left, Nathaniel muttered as they ran. They came to a steep ravine, 20 feet of drop to jagged rocks below. Behind them, the horses approached. "There's no way out," Sarah said, looking down. Nathaniel held her hand. "There's always a way out when you have faith." "This is not faith. This is suicide. Sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference." Silas emerged from the forest, rifle pointed directly at Sarah. "End of the line, black woman, and you, boy, will watch what happens to those who betray their own race." "My race is the human race," Nathaniel replied, "and I'd rather die human than live like you, a monster." He fired. The bullet grazed Silas's rifle, causing him to fall. 1 bullet remained. "Jump!" Nathaniel shouted to Sarah. Together they jumped off the ravine. The river spewed them 3 miles downstream, bruised but alive. The hand of God had spared them, but not without a price. Nathaniel couldn't move his left leg. Something was broken. Sarah had a deep cut on her forehead, blood trickling into her eye. They dragged themselves to the bank, collapsing in the mud. "Still alive," Sarah gasped. "Apparently, God isn't finished with us. Yet," Nathaniel replied through excruciating pain. They hid in a cave they found 1/2 a mile deep in the forest. Sarah made a makeshift splint out of branches and strips from her petticoat. Nathaniel was pale, sweating, clearly in shock. "I need to find help," Sarah said. "No, it's very dangerous. You're going to die if that leg isn't treated." She held his face in her hands. "After everything you've done for me, do you think I'm going to watch you die in a cave?" "Sarah, don't argue with me, husband." She smiled through her tears. "I learned to be stubborn from you." She set off at nightfall, following the smoke she saw rising in the distance. Her only hope was that it was a friendly house and not a trap. The cabin was small and isolated. An elderly black woman stood outside, hanging clothes. She froze when she saw Sarah emerge from the trees, covered in blood and mud. "Please," Sarah pleaded. My husband is injured. He will die without help. I beg you in the name of Jesus Christ." The woman studied Sarah for a long moment. "You're a fugitive. Try. There are hunters everywhere. A big reward." "I know, but he saved my life. He gave up everything, his family, his fortune. He chose me when the whole world said I was worthless." The woman sighed deeply. "My name is Harriet, and these lands have seen enough suffering." She picked up a basket of supplies. "Take me to him." Harriet was a healer. She cleaned and bandaged Nathaniel's leg, administered herbal teas for the pain and infection. For 3 days, they hid in her cabin while Nathaniel regained enough strength to travel. "Why are you helping us?" Nathaniel asked. "Aren't you afraid?" "I was once a slave," Harriet said simply. "My husband bought me and freed me before he died. Now I use my freedom to help others find theirs. That's what Christ would do." On the 4th night, while Sarah slept, Harriet sat next to Nathaniel. "You know you can't be with her, don't you?" Nathaniel stiffened. "What do you mean?" "Even if you reach Canada, you will be hunted. Your father will never stop. And when you have children, and you will, those children will live in hiding, afraid, never safe. So what are you suggesting, that I abandon her?" "I'm suggesting that love sometimes means letting go." Harriet held his hand. "There's a ship leaving Boston in 2 weeks, to England. There, she would be truly free. She could live openly. She could have a future. Without me, you could never go, boy. Your face is known. You would be captured before reaching the port." Nathaniel looked at Sarah sleeping. Her face was finally at peace, without pain, without fear. She deserved this, forever. "No," he said firmly, "we'll stay together. Even if it means she will never truly be free. Even if it means her children will be hunted. God brought us this far. He will take us further." Harriet shook her head. "Faith is beautiful, young one, but sometimes God calls us to make impossible choices, and sometimes the greatest act of love is sacrifice." The next day, as they practiced their walk, Nathaniel limping but determined, horses appeared on the road. Silas Crane had found their trail again. "Run!" Harriet shouted. But Nathaniel could barely run. Sarah was half carrying, half dragging him through the forest. The dogs were so close they could hear their growls. They came to a fork in the road. To the left, a narrow trail led deeper into the mountains, an escape, but a slow one. To the right, an open road led to a town where there was a train, fast, but exposed. "If we go by road, we can catch the train," Sarah said. "It's our best chance." Nathaniel knew the truth. With his leg, he would slow them down. They would be captured before reaching the station. "Unless you go by road," he said. "I'll go through the mountains. I'll take them away from you." "No!" Sarah shouted. "Don't ask me to do that. Sarah, listen, you can live. You can be free. You can have the life you've always dreamed of. Not without you." The dogs were less than 50 yards away. Nathaniel kissed her, desperately, finally. "I love you. I will always love you. In every life, in every world, it's you. It will always be you." He pushed her toward the road and ran staggering toward the mountains, shouting to attract the hunters. Sarah stood frozen, devastated, as she watched the man she loved sacrifice himself for her. Then she ran. 6 months later, Boston, Massachusetts. Sarah stood at the harbor, watching the ocean through the morning mist. Her dress was simple but clean, her hands unchained for the first time in her life. She was free. She had legal documents. She had a job as a seamstress. She had a life. But Nathaniel wasn't there. Every night she prayed. Every morning she checked the newspapers, looking for news from the South. For 4 months there was nothing. Then, finally, a small note in the corner of a page. Nathaniel Whitmore, son of Colonel Thomas Whitmore of Georgia, was captured in Tennessee. He will be tried for theft of property and inciting slave rebellion. Sarah collapsed. The room spun. She knew what this trial meant. Death. By hanging. She had arrived in Boston exactly as Nathaniel had planned. Harriet had guided her to the train, then to a safe house, then to another. At each stop, she inquired about news of a limping young white man with kind eyes and a battered Bible. Nobody knew anything. Now she knew. He was in a prison cell, awaiting death. "I can't just keep living while he dies for me," Sarah told Abigail, the Quaker abolitionist who had taken her in. "What can you do? Going back south would be suicide. Then I will die." Sarah was calm, resolute. "He gave up everything for me. I can't do less for him." "Wait," Abigail said, her eyes suddenly brightening. "Perhaps there's another way. You can read and write now, and the northern newspapers love a good story." Sarah wrote her story. Every detail. The forbidden love, the escape, the sacrifice. She signed it with her real name and sent it to every abolitionist newspaper in Boston. The story spread like wildfire. Within a week, everyone in the North was talking about Nathaniel Whitmore, the slave owner's son, who had chosen love over privilege, humanity over hierarchy. Protests erupted, petitions circulated, pastors preached sermons about love that transcends all barriers. Frederick Douglass himself wrote an article defending Nathaniel, but none of that mattered in the South. Colonel Whitmore wanted to see his son hanged as an example. The day of the execution was set. Sarah traveled to Richmond in disguise, using false papers and the mourning veil of a widow. She needed to see him one last time. The prison was cold, damp, and filled with despair. Nathaniel was in a cell at the back, terribly thin, bearded, but his eyes still shone with that light that Sarah would recognize anywhere. When he saw her, he thought he was hallucinating. "Sarah," he whispered through the bars, you should be in Boston, safe." "There is no safety without you," she said, tears streaming down her face. "There never will be." A guard was watching them, but Sarah had bribed him with the last coins she had, 3 minutes. That was all they had. "I have no regrets," Nathaniel said, holding her hands through the cold bars. "Not a thing. Every moment with you was worth it." "This is not the end," Sarah insisted. "People are mobilizing. There are petitions. Lawyers are fighting." "Sarah," he touched her face gently, "tomorrow I will meet Jesus, and I will ask him to take care of you until we meet again." "Don't talk like that." "Listen, you will live. You will be free. You will find someone who... There will never be another, in any lifetime." She pressed her forehead against the bars. "My heart beats only for you. It has always been you. It will always be you." The guard banged on the wall. "Time's up." Sarah stepped back, memorizing every line of his face. "I love you, Nathaniel Whitmore, in this world and the next. And I love you, Sarah Whitmore, my wife, my life, my faith." The morning of the execution dawned grey and cold. A crowd gathered, some to witness justice, others merely out of morbid curiosity. Sarah was among them, hidden beneath her veil. Colonel Whitmore stood in the front row, his face impassive. He had lost his son the moment Nathaniel chose a slave girl over family. Now he would regain his honor. Nathaniel was led to the scaffold. His hands were chained, but he walked upright. The local pastor offered last words, but Nathaniel refused. "Can I say something?" he asked. The officer hesitated, then nodded. Nathaniel looked at the crowd. His eyes met Sarah's, recognizing her even through the veil. He smiled. It was a peaceful smile. "Almost a year ago, I learned something that changes everything," he began, his voice strong despite the fear. "I learned that God's love knows no boundaries. It sees no color. It sees no class. It sees only souls created in his image." Murmurs pierced the crowd. "I was taught that some people were less human than others. I was taught that I had the right to possess another human being. I was taught many things that contradict every word that Jesus Christ spoke." "Silence!" the colonel shouted. "You have no right." "I have the right to speak the truth before death," Nathaniel replied. "And the truth is this: I loved a woman whom the law said I could not love. I chose humanity over expediency. I chose Christ over culture. And if that is a crime, then I die happy to be a criminal." The crowd was in turmoil. Some shouted for support, others demanded silence, but everyone was listening. "If my death serves any purpose, let it be this. One day, perhaps not in our lifetime, but one day, this country will see that all men truly are created equal, that love is stronger than the law. That faith demands that we stand up for the oppressed, even when it costs us everything." The executioner placed the rope around her neck. Nathaniel looked at Sarah one last time. "And to the woman who taught me what it means to truly love, thank you. I will be waiting for you on the other side." The trapdoor was about to open when a horse galloped into the square. A messenger jumped out, holding a document. "Stop! Stop the execution!" Everything froze. "Telegram from Washington, from the Secretary of State himself. The President demands an immediate review of this case." The officer took the document, read it quickly, and paled. "It's authentic," Colonel Whitmore exploded. "This is absurd. This is my son, my property, my right." "Not anymore, sir," the officer said. "The federal government is assuming jurisdiction. The prisoner will be transferred to federal custody while the case is reviewed." Sarah fell to her knees, sobbing with relief. Abigail stood beside her, smiling. "The newspapers worked. We applied enough pressure. They can't hang him publicly now without causing a political incident." Nathaniel was taken down from the scaffold, stunned, hardly believing he was still alive. As he was led away, his eyes searched for Sarah in the crowd. He couldn't find her, but he whispered the words he knew she would hear in her heart. "This is not over. We are not finished." 2 years passed. The Civil War broke out, tearing the nation apart. Colonel Whitmore died in Gettysburg, still believing he was defending a sacred way of life. Nathaniel was freed when Union troops captured Richmond. The first thing he did was send a telegram to Boston. "Still alive, still love you. Where are you?" The reply came the next day. "Philadelphia, teaching free children to read, waiting for you, always waiting for you." They met again in a small Quaker church in Philadelphia on a spring morning. Nathaniel was thinner, scarred from prison and war. Sarah was stronger, more confident, free. But when their eyes met across that church, it was exactly like that first moment in the Magnolia Grove. Destiny, purpose, love. They ran towards each other. He caught her in his arms, spinning her around, laughing and crying simultaneously. "You're here," she whispered. "You're really here." "I promised we would meet again," he said. "God keeps his promises." They remarried, this time legally, before witnesses who celebrated instead of condemning. The pastor quoted Ruth, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." After the war, after the emancipation, after the 13th Amendment, Nathaniel and Sarah returned to Georgia. Not to the Whitmore plantation, which had been burned during the war, but to a small farm they had bought with their own hands. They founded a school for freed children. They taught reading, writing, and above all that every human soul had infinite value in the eyes of God. Ezekiel, the foreman who had betrayed them, appeared one afternoon. He was old, broken and burdened with guilt like heavy stones. "I sold them," he said simply, "for a coat and a better cabin. I've spent every day since then wishing I could undo it." Sarah looked at Nathaniel. He nodded. "You are forgiven," Sarah said. "Christ taught us to forgive. Who are we to do less?" Ezekiel wept. "How could they?" "Because hate only breeds more hate," Nathaniel explained, "and we choose love. We will always choose love." They had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. Each was born free, Each grew up knowing that their father gave up an empire so that their mother could be human. Years later, when they were old and gray-haired, sitting on the porch watching their grandchildren play, Sarah held Nathaniel's hand. "Was it worth it?" she asked. "Everything you lost, everything you suffered?" Nathaniel turned to her. His eyes still shone with that light she loved. "I dreamed that you were free," he said softly. "Every night in prison, every moment of pain, I dreamed of you walking in the sun, without chains, without fear. And now look at you. Look at our children. Look at what we've built." He kissed her forehead gently. "You ask if it was worth it? Sarah, loving you was the easiest thing I've ever done. And knowing you were worth every sacrifice was the simplest truth I've ever known." She rested her head on his shoulder. "I dreamed of the North, of freedom, of a place where I could be human. And I discovered that freedom wasn't a place, it was a person. It was you, it always was you." The sun set over their small farm, painting the sky gold and pink. Somewhere in the distance, the church bells rang. The children laughed. Life went on. And two hearts that the whole world had said could not love each other beat together, proving that love, true love, sacrificial love, divine love, always wins. Because in the end, God doesn't see color, he sees hearts. And two hearts that beat as one are stronger than any law, any prejudice, any hatred that the world can unleash against them. This is the story of Nathaniel and Sarah. He dreamed of her. She dreamed of the North. And together, they found something even greater: freedom, love, redemption. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more stories of faith, love, and courage that defy the impossible. Because the best stories are those that remind us what it means to be truly human.